for today's discussion. For today's lesson, we will be dealing about the moral agent developing virtue as a habit. But first of all, I just want you to meet my co-teachers for today's lesson. Come on, let's meet them.
Hi guys! I'm your teacher Vanessa and I will be the one to discuss to you one of the concepts of the moral agent developing virtue as a habit. I just want you to listen attentively and have fun.
Hello everyone! I'm Teacher Jamaica and I will also be your teacher for today's discussion. So sit back and relax!
Our lesson will be focusing on the moral agent developing virtue as a habit. But first of all, we must first define what is moral. So moral is defined as the standards of what behavior is considered right or wrong. So it is important to note that morals differ between individuals and their culture, and that an individual's moral change throughout their life as they mature, and their relationship and people around them change. The most preference of this model is called the Kohlberg moral development. In Kohlberg moral development, we have three levels. We have the pre-conventional, the conventional, and the post-conventional. Moral agency is the ability to make ethical decisions based on what is right or wrong. The three major concepts of moral agency: the moral competency of the person or organization in question, the normative framework in which ethical behavior is based, and the situational constraints that influence decision making. So this capacity can be found in individuals or collective entities like businesses or healthcare institutions. According to Kristen et al., there are three major moral agency concepts. Moral competence include reasoning, recognition, response, discernment, accountability, character, motivation, and leadership. With the appropriate normative framework and supportive situational environment, moral competency gives rise to moral judgment. So, in contrast to this, we have the moral distress that is said to occur when an individual makes a moral judgment but it's unable to act upon it. Moral distress can result in emotional distress, frustration, and anger. Moral agent is the agent expected to meet the demands of morality, a person who has the ability to discern right from wrong and to be held accountable for his or her action. Moral agents have moral responsibility not to harm and can obey moral laws. There are exemptions of being a moral agent. Children and adults with certain disabilities or intellectual and psychological disabilities may have little or no ability to function as a moral agent. According to Kantian ethics, these are the universal moral principles that applies to all human beings regardless the context or situation. Immanuel Kant, a German philosopher, and has the theory of Kantian ethics, called the principle of categorical imperatives, which defined by their morality and levels of freedom. Today, justice systems in democracies are fundamentally based on Kant's writing. From the Greek word character, which initially meant a mark on a coin, then later meant a distinct mark distinguishing from one another. Character is typically synonymous to personality, disposition to behave in the right manner, and as means between extremes. We learn moral virtue primarily through habit and practice, rather than through listening and instruction. Acts helps us build moral character as what the Greek believed. Virtuous acts complete or perfect human life. So when we talk about moral character, this is also referred to as the moral virtue or the moral excellence. According to Aristotle on human excellence, a virtue is a character trait acquired by practice that disposes of persons to adopt the right course of action in morally charged situation. According to Aristotle, virtues are life skills that enables a person to realize their potential of living a good life.
Moral value. When we say moral value, it guides human acts in interacting with other beings. It also refers to what we expect others to do to us, and it is what we aim to receive in return. They also help us distinguish between what is right and wrong. There are types of moral values. First, acceptance. When we say acceptance, it is welcoming others whose ideas and practices differ from your own. Second is compassion. When we say compassion, it is the understanding of other people or yourself and wanting to do something about it. Another one is respect, showing the consideration for the worth for someone or something. Respect the dignity, freedom, and privacy of people. Value and honor all people. Next is courage. So when we say courage, it is your willingness to do difficult things, or you are brave enough to try something new. Cooperation. When we say cooperation, it is helping other people, family, friends, schoolmates, or any organizations in the society. When we say generosity, it is your willingness to give time, to give help, and to give resources to others. Next is fairness. When we say fairness, it is acting in just a way or share appropriately. Second, consider all the stakeholders and the possible short and long-term consequences of decisions. Be free of bias, just without favoritism and prejudice. Another is integrity. When we say integrity, you are sticking to your moral and ethical principle values. Next is perseverance. It is persisting in a course of action, belief, or purpose. Next is kindness. When we say kindness, you are being considerate and you treat people with respect and in a nice way. Next is honesty. When we say honesty, it is being truthful to yourself and to others and being sincere. Positive moral values are important because they allow you to have overall feelings of peace and joy. Moral values can give meaning and purpose to your life. You are able to direct your behavior towards beneficial and fulfilling activities. So, virtue ethics mainly deals with honesty and morality of a person. It states that practicing good habits makes a moral virtuous person. It guides without specific rules for solving the ethical complexity. Virtual ethics help us understand what it means to be a virtuous human being. This character-based approach to morality assumes that we acquire true practice by practicing being honest, brave, just, generous, and so on. A person develops an honorable and moral character. There are two types of virtue. First, intellectual virtues. Excellences of the mind, ability to understand, reason, and judgment. So when we say intellectual virtues, it is the deep personal qualities or characters and strength requires for a good thinking and learning. They are cultivated disposition to act, think, and feel in particular ways. Second is moral virtues. learned by repetition. So when we say moral virtues, it is a disposition to behave in a right manner and as mean between extremes of deficiency and excess. We learn moral virtue through habit and practice. Here are the strengths of virtue ethics. First, importance of a person, motive, heart, and conscience. Second, connection to the community. Third, realization that morality is defined by moments but by a long-term process. Lastly, allowance for gray areas, varying contexts, different levels of maturity and life context. So virtue ethics includes several strengths and practicality and generally non-threatening nature of philosophy. Second is moral virtues, learned by repetition. So when we say moral virtues, it is a disposition to behave in a right manner and as mean between extremes of deficiency and excess. We learn moral virtue through habit and practice rather than reasoning and instruction. So here are the weaknesses of virtue ethics. First, dependence on strong communities. Second, not easily applied to ethical issues or to give us practical solutions. Third, demands time. Fourth, can be turned into a really poor duty-based ethics. And lastly, might be taken as a situational ethics.
Dispositions to act in certain ways in response to similar situation. Thus, good conduct arises from habits acquired from repeated actions and corrections. Moral character refers to the existence or lack of virtues such as integrity, courage, fortitude, loyalty, and honesty. To say that a certain person has a good moral character means that he or she is a good person and a good citizen with a sound of moral compass. Developing virtues as a habit includes 5 concepts. First, moral character and virtues. Second, the circular acts and character. Third, moral character as dispositions. Fourth, 6 stages of moral development. And fifth is getting to the highest level. Let's go back to the first concept of developing virtue as a habit, the moral character and virtues. According to Plato and Aristotle, they agreed that excellent moral character involves more than Socratic understanding of good. They think that virtue requires a harmony between cognitive and affective elements of the person. The second one is the circular acts and character. Not all acts help to build moral character, but those acts which emanate from moral character certainly matter in moral development. Hence, they appear as the apparent circular relationship between individual acts and moral character. The third one is moral character as disposition. It is to express the behavior in consistent patterns of function across large situations. The fourth one is the 6 stages of moral development. First, avoiding punishment. Second, self-interest. Third, good boy attitude. Fourth, law and order morality. Fifth, social contract. And lastly, principle. The last one is getting to the highest level. Ethics divided into 3 different levels which range the abstract to the concrete. Meta-ethics, normative ethics, and applied ethics.